Alright, for those of you who have a MagicJack or are thinking about getting a MagicJack but just don't like the idea of it having to be stuck into your computer all the time, here I think I have the solution. What I did was went on eBay and I looked for something called a thin client, and they run about $90 is what I paid for this one. You can get some cheaper, but I don't feel like dealing with bidding, so I just bought it with the buy it now plan. Alright, so this is what I received. You see here, I purchased it for $79.99 plus $10 shipping, came out to $89.98, and this is a MagicJack ready thin client. Now a thin client is basically a mini computer but without a monitor, keyboard, mouse, or even a hard drive. This one happened to have a mini drive in it just because I don't want to deal with MagicJack updates. It's already been pre-configured to install the updates as they come from MagicJack. So basically, according to the instructions, all I have to do is plug this into the wall, plug it into my router, and then plug the MagicJack in. So we're going to try that out now. Alright, so I've unpacked some of the things here, and there's a stand that needs to attach to this particular thin client. Now this is an HP thin client. And basically what it is a networking computer. So this is what you would have if you were connected to a main server where all your apps are coming off the server, and all you needed was like an interface into the main system. Since all we're running is MagicJack, we don't need the power of a full desktop computer, so this little unit should do just fine. You can see on the back, it's very basic. It's a couple of USB ports here, networking port, microphone, headphones. This looks like power adapter, monitor. This actually looks like a serial port, and this looks like an old style printer port. So, not too complicated. All we're going to really need is power and USB port. Once it boots up, it should detect the MagicJack, and that should be it. Alright, so here we are with all my devices. The first thing in the middle here is the cable modem. Next to it here we already have, this is a Sprint unit that boosts my wireless signal in the house to full strength because I live in a rural area. Well, I do have wireless service, it's not as strong as what I'd like, so this unit kind of can handle 4 cell phone devices across my high-speed internet connection. Here's my wireless router, and then here is the new thin client. You see that it's bigger than my other devices up there. It's really not out of place, and definitely smaller than another desktop unit. Also, it uses a lot less power and produces less heat, so another advantage over having a dedicated computer. Alright, plugging in the network cable, and now I hear the kids in the background. Now I'm going to plug in the other network computer to the back of the router, if I can find it. Alright, so it's the blue one there I just plugged in, and I'm running my computer, running off the cable modem. This is my computer, this is the Sprint device, and now I have the thin client in there too. Alright, here's power adapter. I guess we'll plug this one into the thin client first. So basically, you can't go wrong with setting this up because everything can only plug into one place. Alright, now the power is plugged in there. I happen to have a strip already up here. It's my little data connection wall on top of this bookshelf. So I will plug in to the 110. Not exactly the best into the transformer.
This is where you got the nuts.
I am plugging main 110 cord.
Look for that snake.
Alright, I had expected that it was going to turn on by itself.
Yeah, it's on there too. Hey, that's the one. Oh, no, not fish.
Alright. So presumably now it's booting up.
Yes.
Rather than hook a monitor up to it and watch it, and then a keyboard or a mouse or anything like that, I'm trusting that what the seller told me was it was MagicJack ready, plug and play. So I'm going to let it boot. So I'm going to give it a couple minutes and then come back to it. Alright, down here it's a little bit dark, but in my front USB port is where I have my MagicJack installed currently. This is a rather power hungry unit, so I don't want to keep this running all the time just to have phone service, which is why I bought the thin client. If you are just getting your MagicJack, you probably want to plug it into your main computer. It'll install the software, and that way you can configure it and choose your phone number, set up your voicemail, your contact information, credit card information, etc. But after that, it should be pretty much on autopilot. So I'm going to unplug it now, and it came with an extension, which is what this extension is. You can just use the MagicJack itself, and I'm going to bring that up to the thin client and see what we have. So now we're back up here. I now have the MagicJack up here. I probably could just plug it straight into the back of the thin client, which should be booted by now, without this extension cord that's on it, but I like the idea of the extension, so I'm just going to leave it on there. I was thinking that maybe I would velcro the MagicJack to the side of it so that I can see it. Alright, we're going to go in on one of these top USB ports. I wish I had more light in here, but trust me, it's really not difficult. Alright, plugged it into the thin client. It lit up, so that's a good sign that at least it's powered. Let me straighten out all my devices here. It's a big wired mess, but I want it to at least look a little ordered. Alright, nice blue MagicJack light. Alright, I am trusting now that this is going to work and that that's it. So, let's give it a try. So here's the phone that I have hooked to the MagicJack. It's a cordless phone with answering machine. Most of the calls do route to this answering machine, but occasionally, for whatever reason, I don't know, it goes straight to MagicJack. Maybe that was just when we had the computer off, or if, well, who knows. But, so, if this is working now, I haven't tried it yet, we should get a dial tone. Ah, and we do. So far, so good. Now, I've noticed with the MagicJack, you can get a dial tone right off the bat, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can dial out. So, alright. So, I don't know what went wrong with that last try. I haven't done anything other than try to dial the phone from my cell phone, and that did just work. Oh, now I'm dialing my cell phone number. Not my MagicJack number. Alright, so now I just dialed it, and it's connecting, and incidentally the caller ID does work. So why didn't it work the other way around? Let's try it. Oh. And now it's working. So I guess it was plug and play. Maybe it hadn't finished booting all the way up. Or maybe it was an old version of MagicJack on a thin client, which had to download from the router to get the new one. But as the seller stated, it truly is plug and play. I thought for a while there I was gonna have to hook up a monitor to it to get it to work, but it is in fact working. I did not turn on the monitor. I'm trusting that it has Windows XP, but it really doesn't matter to me what OS it's running, because all I bought it for was to make my MagicJack independent of my main desktop computer. Now this is a solid state thin client network type computer. Not really good for anything else other than connecting to the network and running apps from the network. It's a little bit of an older HP model, so really kind of obsolete when it comes to anything else, but great for working with MagicJack. So once again, here's the bill. I bought it with across eBay from Edgar Gallezzo in Illinois. He mailed it right away, priority mail, and I did in fact get it on the second day. Just to make it a little more convenient, I'm just noticing it after I already hooked everything up without using any instruction. He has step-by-step instructions with pictures to show you how to do it. I highly recommend ordering from him. The background of this says LAK3. I think that might be his store or his username or something on eBay. So I would suggest you search for him if you're interested in doing something like this. It's just fantastic. And by the way, the device is in immaculate condition. He said it could have some scratches, but I wouldn't have known that it's not new. So everything worked just as it was supposed to. So if you're thinking about doing this, I would highly suggest a nice HP thin client. There were more powerful thin clients, but I wanted something small, something that used less electricity and less